Okay, when I'm talking.
I'm going to call the meeting of the Burke County Board of Commissioners pre-agenda meeting for Tuesday, May 2nd, held here in 2023 at 3 p.m. I would like to welcome everybody. I would say, Madam Clerk, we have Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Burns, Vice Chair Britton, and myself in attendance. Commissioner Carswell, probably watching us. I will say hello to him. We're wishing and praying for a speedy recovery. So he's feeling a little under the weather today. And so I wanted to make you aware of that. We have our county finance officer, our county attorney, and our county manager in attendance as well, Madam Clerk. I want to remind everybody to please silence their mobile devices. And I would ask all speakers, when you come to the lectern to speak, make sure the red light is on, and so you can be heard from those in the rest of the audience and on YouTube. I also at this time would like to extend our heartfelt condolences to the Carroll family. Former Commissioner Jack Carroll passed away on April 30th. He served in 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, and then from 2012 through 2015. He was also chairman in calendar years 2007 and 2008. So just keep he and his family in your thoughts and prayers, please. Gentlemen, that brings us to our first item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. On the motion, we will need a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the tax collections report and the tax refund and release reports.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the tax collections report and the tax refund and release reports.
Thank you, Commissioner Barnes. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. That is 4-0, Madam Clerk. That brings us to presentations. Animal Services Pet of the Month. This will be presented by Caitlin Suttlemeyer, our Animal Service Director. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having us back for another month. So for our Animal Services Pet of the Month presentation, we will be bringing a cat and dog. Well, we'll be bringing a dog and presenting a cat that are available for adoption through Animal Services, as well as highlighting some events and promotions that we have going on.
Gentlemen, any questions or comments for Caitlin?
Notice you didn't name the dog and cat this time.
No, I don't name them that early. I've learned.
That's awesome. You ought to name them and people will come and get them and hey, you just have to switch.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Did Randy come pick up the dog from last time?
He didn't. I was so sad. She went to a home in Asheville temporarily, and then she was adopted out to Charlotte. So she's living the high life.
So she's a city dog.
Yes,
Should have made her a country dog, Randy. Any other questions, comments, gentlemen? Then without objection, this item will remain on the agenda. I will ask Caitlin to stay up front. I am going to move us to item number 1 under consent agenda, and this is because Caitlin does have a conflict. You have to be in Hickory at 4 o'clock. Am I correct?
Yes, I do have to pick up our spay neuter transport at 4 o'clock, so I do appreciate you guys accommodating, jumping around on the agenda. If that's okay, I'll jump right into what we have. This is a request for us to implement an adoption fee for some non-traditional animal species that enter Animal Services. And those are species of animals that, other than dogs and cats like we're used to seeing. We do have animals in the past 2 years since we've had animal control that have ended up in our care through animal cruelty cases, surrenders. So we've had snakes, bearded dragons, pigs, you name it, we've probably saw it. So they've come into our care. These intakes are few and far between for us, but we have been able to utilize rescue organizations for placement of these animals. But with our rescue organizations becoming inundated and some of the sheer magnitude that these animals are coming into our care, we feel that it would be best if we were able to implement our own adoption process and fees to rehome these animals on our own. So we did seek advice from outside counsel, and we would have to have a fee established in our fee schedule. I know this is a strange time to be requesting this. So, but with that, as you guys know, we do have we actually have 51 now. I think that says 50. We did have another baby horse born over the weekend, but we have 51 miniature horses in our care currently, and we have 6 more on the way. We are trying to get these horses released from evidence sooner rather than later, and we are hoping that's going to happen before the next budget cycle. So we would like this fee to be implemented prior to their release so we can easily transition them into their new homes. But we wanted to request, since we do have such a vast array of animals that come to us, if we could set the fee to be determined by the Animal Services Director. Because we have animals that come to us that are rats, that's going to have a different adoption fee based off medical needs and stuff than a horse. So that would be what we would want to request from you guys to approve that. As of right now, we are spending about $7,500 monthly on the horses in our care. We did have money raised for the Animal Services Foundation, but that funding is slowly depleting, and we do think that we will run out before July 30th. So hopefully those horses will be released and we can move them out sooner. So we just hope that you guys will consider this, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Questions, comments?
The only question I had is the to be determined, you know, to your point about it being a rat or a horse. Is there a way that we could get a range established, from somewhere in here to be determined. You
So
guys.
like a dollar to $300.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of, I would feel better knowing what the potential is for charging someone.
Right. I think there's a lot of factors that play into it, and I'm happy. I did some, of course, I looked at organizations to see what they had set. Some of these bigger organizations, like Charlotte and Raleigh area, they have the fees set out per animal species, but they also take in a lot of these animals and adopt them out, where we may take 2 rats in and not get 10 or rats in for the next 10 years. But there is a lot that goes into it, but, I'm happy to get you.
Well, it's not a
Something
deal
that-
breaker. I was just asking if that was a possibility, if there would be a range.
Yeah, I'm sure that we can definitely.
Or could we maybe define what to be determined means? Is that based on our cost of care, or how would we arrive at that?
So, we would want to assess what they would need for adoption capability. So, if we have a horse, we do want to castrate our male horses. So that would all be a determining factor. So cost of care would definitely be assessed, as well as the current state of the shelter may also be a factor at that given point. Because if we don't have a lot of places to house them and we want to adopt them out quickly, lowering that adoption fee does help. So if we set the adoption fee to a lower amount, that does help move them out to a home quicker, which lowers our cost.
Any other questions, comments? And as Animal Service Director, in my opinion, that's good questions. I think you do need the flexibility, because especially in cases we didn't expect to have 51 horses. And so, to expedite that process, you got to have some flexibility. And, we could probably put some type of limit on it at some point, but at this point, just to get those animals released would be great. So. Any other questions or comments, gentlemen? Animal Services Foundation event, we have one coming up.
We have a couple. We have the Strut Your Mutt fundraiser walk in Valdez on June 3rd, and we have the first ever Woofstock Raise the Woof event. That's a collaborative partnership between Paws and Claws, Silver Fork Winery, and the foundation, and it will be at Silver Fork Winery on Sunday, June the 4th. I don't remember the times right off the top of my head. I'm thinking like 11 to 2, 11 to 3. But we are seeking sponsorships for that event, or for both events, and it's going to be fun, and I hope it becomes an annual tradition for both those events. And the Strut Your Mutt is at Lakeside Park in Valdez, and we had about 6 community partners in that endeavor. So we're very pleased to be working with community members and hosting events to try to raise funds for these pets.
Thank you, Kay. And Caitlin, I would, at a regular meeting, mention those 2 functions as well, so the general public, which will be here in a regular meeting, is aware of that.
Absolutely. I can do that during our presentation.
Perfect. Any other questions, comments, gentlemen? If not, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Caitlin, thank you. Safe travels. All right, gentlemen, that'll bring us to item number 2 on our presentation. Presentation of the Burke County Search and Rescue Team, presented by Wes Taylor, Battalion Chief. Burke County Rescue, VP, Burke County Search and Rescue Team. It's a mouthful.
It's a lot to say. Thank you for having us today. We met with you, Chairman, and Commissioner Carswell a couple months ago. Spoke with y'all at the Year of the Trail event at the Comma. We were doing some preventive search and rescue work, trying to lower our numbers of search and rescue here in the county. The county's done a great job of advertising this as nature's playground and is a great place to visit. We agree it is, but it's not always a playground. It's one of the top search and rescue destinations on the East Coast. In the last few years, we've had more search and rescues here in Burke County than in, say, the state of New Hampshire. So we're a very popular place to come, but that comes with risks. So all of our members are 100% volunteer. 7 years ago, the search and rescue team, which was for years a part of Burke County Emergency Services, was absorbed by the rescue squad due to conflicts that were going on there, employees that were on the search and rescue team that couldn't technically volunteer on a search and rescue without having to be paid. So we took that over 7 years ago. We're the primary dispatch for the Linville Gorge, as well as all of our state parks, along with the fire departments in that area, as well as missing elderly, missing children. So we do water rescues here across the county. We do a little bit of everything. And so what we're doing is we want to fill y'all in on what we've been doing here lately to try and prevent some of that search and rescue and some of the things that we need to keep ourselves going and to keep ourselves safe.
Gentlemen, Commissioner Carswell, I did run into you and your folks at that event, and you had a nice spread. You had the rescue boat out there, and actually told me we could be invited to go to a whitewater rescue event. If y'all are interested, I'm all in on that.
Yep.
And so a little practice for us, and as elected official, expect to get thrown out of the boat.
Everybody's looking for that chance.
I know how this works, but it sounds like too much fun. We did speak when we were there. I was a little, the things that sometimes are overlooked is how much your expense is is coming out of pocket. Would you explain to me, because you had all your materials out there on the table, and we just take things for granted, but just kind of what y'all have to pay for out of pocket.
So the department has assets in terms of vehicles and rope equipment, Stokes baskets, equipment for getting people out of places. But when it comes to the rescuer themselves and their personal equipment, 100% of that is paid for out of pocket. We did the numbers last month, and to be an effective member of the search and rescue team, it costs you about $2,000 worth of gear. And that's from boots to helmet to your backpack, everything that's in it. We're responsible for anywhere from we've gone in on 23 missing people at the same time before. So we've got to be able to take care of whatever situation we have with what's on our backs. There's no truck that can drive into us to bring us extra equipment. What we have with us is what we have. So bottom of the line equipment doesn't work very well for us. So, midline, top of the line equipment is what most of these guys want to have. So above that $2,000 is what most people have spent, not to mention the fuel cost of responding. Even living here in Morganton, when we get a call in Linville Gorge, it's a 45-minute to 1 hour response time for me. We have one truck that can deploy from the station that's capable, that has all of our rescue stuff. You miss that truck, you're taking your own personal vehicle up Highway 105 or up Table Rock Mountain Road. If you know anything about those roads, you can expect to fix something when you get off of it, because they'll beat your car to death. And not to mention the personal time that we take out of our own jobs and our own personal lives to go up there and help whoever's in need. So it keeps us busy. In 2020, we responded to over 120 search and rescue calls. That year, we started a preventive search and rescue campaign where we started working with local media, statewide media, and social media campaigns promoting safety in the Linville Gorge. We created a 10 essentials list to hand out to people when we're on calls and when we're dealing with the public, just to inform them that what may seem like an hour, 2 hour long hike through the woods with a wrong turn or a twisted ankle can turn into an overnight trip. So we've seen a nearly 50% reduction in our search and rescue calls since we began that preventive search and rescue program. So what we're trying to do is just get recognition for what all of our members are doing, the effort they're putting in, and we're looking to get some personal protective equipment for all of those members. So that way at this time we have no official uniform. T-shirt here was paid for out of our own pockets. We get a t-shirt every few years. That's it. That's the extent of our equipment that we're issued for search and rescue. So we would like to be able to purchase waterproof jackets and pants for our members, helmets, headlamps, and a uniform shirt at the bare minimum. So that way when we respond, we're looking like a team and looking like something we can be proud of. So.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, what kind of professional development training or certification training do you guys have?
Most of our members are a minimum of either emergency medical responder or EMT. We have paramedics, we have nurses, flight nurses, we have a physician on the roster. So we operate at a basic life support level. We are certified through the state, North Carolina OEMS, to operate at basic life support. Most of our members are either North Carolina Technical Rescuer certified, and there's a whole handful of specialty certifications that go along with that. And more recently, North Carolina Emergency Management has begun a mountain winter alpine search and rescue program that is an awareness program, which is 3 days long, an operations program, and a technician program. We've got 6 at the technician level, and we've got 12 to 14 that are at least at the awareness level. And that's teaching people to go out in some of the most extreme conditions and survive and treat patients and get them out of whatever predicament they're in.
So to maintain those certifications, EMT, for example, do you participate in in-service training with the
Yep,
county?
we go to the county in-service here with EMS, and we hold, the search and rescue team itself holds 2 training meetings a month. The rescue squad also holds 2 separate meetings itself a month. So most of our members are attending 4 different meetings a month, in addition to any other statewide training that we offer across the county, and then we do in-house training on weekends and whenever we can get together.
Okay, thank you.
Do y'all take charitable donations or?
We do. That's a large part of the actual search and rescue team's funding comes from donations from either our former victims or from families of persons that we've had to recover. That's the search and rescue team, or the rescue squad itself, gets $105,000 a year from the county. Everything else we receive is either through grants or donations. So the search and rescue team is mostly donation based. That's how we've been able to acquire some of our newer equipment, a lightweight Stokes basket with a wheel for carrying people out of the gorge or out of the state park. We purchased a drone with donation money to help locate people. So that's really what keeps the search and rescue team itself going, is donations. So.
Do you have to be EMT certified to
Do
be on
not.
that?
We do not require any sort of training prior to becoming a member, but once you become a member, it opens up the door for free medical training, for free rescue training anywhere across the state. So a large number of our members, as soon as they join, they get enrolled into either EMR, which is the emergency medical responder, which is a low level below EMT, or the EMT class. We've got, I believe, 2 that are in the EMT class right now and 3 that are in the paramedic class right now. So, yeah.
So an old Army Ranger can come in here if he retires and join the team, but not.
Exactly. Yep. And we have many members that are former military. Every single one of us is an outdoor recreational user. So we all go out and we play in the Linville Gorge. We go to our local state parks and hike and swim and kayak, and we use the same places that we're responding to rescue people. So we're always looking for new people. This day and age, it's tough to get volunteers and it's tough to retain some of them, especially when people join and they find out, well, I've got to have X number of dollars worth of equipment, and I've also got to pay for my own fuel to get not only meetings but running calls, and there's no reimbursement for that. So it's kind of out of the kindness of your own heart. So, but we'd be more than happy to have people come and check us out. We've been doing a large recruiting campaign trying to get people to join. We're about 45 people on this rescue squad roster and about 22 people on the search and rescue team.
Any other questions?
I just want to say I really appreciate what you guys, I mean, the chances of you encountering me in the gorge are slim, but I do have family members that use that quite often. So, and I spent several years as a volunteer firefighter, EMT, and certified in basic trauma life support. So
Yep.
even the in-service requirements back in those days weren't nearly as arduous as they are now. So, my hat's off to all of you.
Thank you very much.
And obviously, I feel the same way. That's Wes, because I wanted you and your group to come. And then, like I said, we'll cover the same material in front of the public in 2 weeks. But once again, great job.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, without objection, this item will remain on the presentation agenda. That'll bring us to item number 3, recognition of winners from the Chamber Spring Litter Sweep presented by Tanya Stevenson. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Wonderful.
I'd like to say thank you to Wes too and your team.
Thank you.
What a wonderful blessing we have to have them here. So thank you for having me, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and Mr. Manager. We are so excited. We just wrapped up our litter sweep last week. It ran through Saturday. However, we are still taking reports, I guess, if you will, through May 5th. So I don't have final numbers for you, but I have a few numbers that I'm already excited about. So I can't wait on May 16th to share with you final numbers and to bring the winners in here to introduce them as well. Last fall, when we did this for the first time, we were thrilled, and we had 13 teams, and I don't have that number. I think it was 78 participants off the top of my head. Don't hold me to that, but I believe it was. This year we had 18 teams and 202 participants, so we were really excited about having so many more participants this year. With the reports that we have already, we have gathered 118 bags of trash compared to 95 last time, and like I said, our numbers are not in yet. And that includes 6 bags of recycling. We'd added that this year, so we hope that will grow. That number will grow in the future. But we're really excited that that's a lot of trash that is off the streets of Burke County now, and unfortunately in the landfill, but at least it's off the streets of Burke County. And we are very grateful to our partners, Republic Services. They were such a great help in that, and they are the ones that allowed us to be able to do recycling this time. We had teams, we had Girl Scout teams, we had just individuals come out and do it. We had lots of organizations and church groups. Nonprofits really showed up. We had one group that just got together and brought in some homeless people, and they cleaned up a homeless camp, which made the news, which I thought was really sweet. So it was really a wide variety of people who participated. We had lots of kids to participate, so hopefully we're teaching them early about not throwing out your litter, that somebody's got to pick it up. So we will have the celebration ceremony on May 11th. You are all welcome to join us. I hope, Mr. Chairman, maybe you can come join us and help hand out the big checks. And we will be giving first, second, and third place prizes, which will come along with a cash prize of $500 for first place, $250 for second, and $100 for the third place team. So if anybody wants to learn any more about this and participate in the future, our website's burkecountychamber.org, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Jenna Cole is our staff person who works with the litter sweep. If anybody wants to call the chamber, she'd be happy to talk to you about it. But I'll be excited to give you final numbers on May 16th. Any questions?
Gentlemen, any questions for Tanya?
Well, I appreciate you guys letting us bring in the winners and give them a round of applause. They're the ones that deserve the round of applause for going out there and
Absolutely.
and picking up and we had some hot days and we had some rainy days. So, but thankfully we were hopefully did our little piece to clean up the county.
Well, we appreciate the chamber's lead in this. Y'all are doing a great job. It's nice to see it growing. So,
I'm excited about it. Thank you. We couldn't do it without the county and the convenience sites, and Kay, bless her heart, helping in so many ways, and Mark and the whole team. We're just very grateful for your partnership.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, without objection, this item will remain on the agenda under presentations. This will bring us to item number 4. Foundation Ford Charters of Freedom presentation from Dr. David Streeter. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Greetings. Thank you very much. I hope you're well too. So, Mr. Commissioner, Chairman, thank you for allowing me to come and speak today, not only to you, but the other commissioners and to the staff and administrators. And I will be very brief. I plan on being back on the 16th of that evening for your general meeting. I am David Streeter. I'm the Education Director for Foundation Forward. As you know, we're the ones who build the Charters of Freedom in many places, and we are spreading out across the country. Right now, we've gone as far as west as Nevada, as far north as Alaska. We're in the midst of doing things in Florida, already in Alabama, southern Alabama, and other states around us, and of course, a number of the Charters of Freedom settings in North Carolina. I'd just like to remind you that the one that's here in town by the historic courthouse was the first Charters of Freedom outside of Washington DC. And from the time that that whole idea was put together by our benefactors, Vance and Mary Jo Patterson, of course, we have expanded not only in putting settings across the places that I just mentioned, but as far as our ideology and our philosophy is concerned. We now own new settings that we're building, including a fourth pedestal of the Civil Rights Amendments. For those places to where it's not feasible or we're not ready at this time to back up and add a fourth pedestal of those civil rights amendments in one nice framed picture, we'll be presenting that to you on the 16th. And what that will do is allow you to take this and pass it around, hopefully, to all the departments within the county, and then to forward that on over to the school system, and for them to pass that around to all their schools, and hopefully someone will be designated to explain that to not only the faculty but also the students. And then once that's finished, it's for it to be permanently displayed in an appropriate spot for everyone to enjoy and learn from. So, but that's what we're doing in a nutshell. The frame will be about 2 by 3 feet, and it will come with a certificate of authenticity as well.
Thank you, Doctor. Gentlemen, questions, comments?
Look forward to seeing you on the 16th.
Okay? I look forward to being here.
All right, thank you,
Okay?
sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, gentlemen, without objection, this item will remain on the agenda under presentation, so that'll bring us to item number 5. Service recognition of Iker Township Fire Rescue members presented by our good friend Mike Willis, Fire Marshal, and our Iker Fire Chief, Chief Lingerfeld. I don't think he's here. It's just you solo today.
Solo one today.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We just found out yesterday, due to a medical procedure that one of those recipients is going to be a part of, and the other one is also going to be, something's came up, he's not going to be in town, so we're just asking if we can postpone this to possibly June or July. They're trying to make sure that they can get them here on a regular meeting night.
Gentlemen, problem with moving this to June, July, Kay?
I will put it whatever meeting you want it on. Maybe we should hear what works for the recipients.
Right,
And
I've
just-
asked Chief Lingerfeld to validate, which,
Okay.
to make sure. it's
We'll
safe.
work with you. We'll be flexible. So we'll remove this and add that to a future.
Yes. Okay.
And our apologies for having to, it's one of those things.
Things
came up.
happen. Things happen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mike. All right, gentlemen, this will move us on to item number 4, scheduled public hearings. There are none. So that'll move us to consent agenda items. Item number 1 under consent agenda, we've already discussed with Caitlin Suttermeyer. And so item number 2 is presentation of financial data for the period ending March 31st, 2023, presented by Keith Lawson, Burke County Public Schools Finance Officer. Keith, how are you?
I'm doing well. I hope you all are. Good afternoon, county officials. I'm here to present to you the March year-to-date financial results for Burke County Public Schools. You'll see a schedule on the screen that all of you are very familiar with. The first 2 columns representing the previous year's total financial resources. And then the next column, current forecast, are our forecasted revenues for the year. I'll draw your attention to the following 2 columns, March year-to-date. We have a previous column, which is last year's results through March, versus this year's current results. As you can see, the state is at an increase of 4.2%. The state is our lion's share of funding. 4.2% is exactly where I'd anticipated we'd be through the third quarter. As I stated to you through our mid-year results, we were out of line halfway through the year due to the fact that we didn't have a budget from the state in December of the previous fiscal year, very late, so we're back in line now, 4.2%. Most all of that increase is accounted for in wage increases and employer benefits cost increases. Our next line item, federal funds, that is a much larger number than historically has been. That's due to our ESSER funds, or what is better known to most as COVID funds. You can see, though, through March year to date, it is down 13% year to year. Again, our ESSER funds, that's the predominant cause for that. That ebbs and flows just depending on the timing of projects, et cetera. If you remove ESSER from the equation in both those columns, that brings our regular federal spending in line March year to date. The next line items, local, school nurses, charter schools, and fines and forfeitures are all funds provided by you, the county. Fines and forfeitures, you act as a pass-through agent for those funds. Those funds in particular are down considerably. I do hope, I haven't spoken with Margaret, but I do hope that's just a timing issue at this point. But we'll see how that fleshes out. Next, our receivables line item, that's just a function of what the individual schools in Burke County owes back to the central office for front funds. A very small, minute number in the scheme of our finances. And then next, our special revenues line item. That is, those consist of funds such as Medicaid reimbursements, pre-K tuitions, et cetera. That is up considerably year to year, March to date. That's, again, we are still ramping back up operations, particularly grant-wise and special programs. So that significant increase is primarily due to the fact that all operations, all grants, et cetera, are finally getting back to 100% functional and as normal and as history would indicate. The next slide, which I know you all are a little more interested in when it comes specifically to the finances of the school system, and that's local funds. I'll just draw your attention to the very far right column where it says total. And if you'll go down to the line that is titled revenues over under, and that's $80,748. Thank you, Tanya. Compared to last year, we were in a positive position as far as revenues to expenditures, so we are a little behind in that particular area. You all would know that as fund balance. So we have utilized fund balance at the tune of $80,000 through 3 quarters year to date. Last year we were at about a $400,000 positive position, but the fourth quarter comes in very strongly. Expenditures over revenues based on local supplements paid to teachers before they go home for the summer. So I do anticipate that our fund balance, as budgeted for the year, which we had budgeted to use approximately $465,000, that we're still going to be somewhere in that neighborhood. One area that's helped us, I had anticipated mid-year that we might exceed that original forecasted fund balance usage. Fortunately, the annualized inflation rate through March has cooled somewhat. It's at 5%. That's a substantial decrease. Fortunately, over our January and February year-to-date numbers. And although that doesn't mean things are cheaper, but they're going up at a slower rate, thank goodness. And our budget certainly is feeling the impact of that, as well as some cost-saving measures that mid-year we put in place, particularly in our facilities operations department. With that being said, I'll certainly be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Gentlemen, questions, comments? Yes, sir.
I do have one question going back to fines and forfeitures.
Hmm?
Can you give us a little more detail about how that money comes to Burke County Public Schools? Does it go to the state and then brought back? Is it?
I'll defer that to Margaret, if I may. Again, I think you all are the pass-through agent, not sure exactly how it makes its way to you and then to us, but sorry to put you on the spot, Margaret.
No problem. The bulk of the funds come to us from the clerk of court each month. They are different funds charged by the court system and collected and remitted to us. Late list penalties on taxes also go to them as part of that monthly check. So we simply take what's given to us and give it to them.
Any other questions, comments, gentlemen? Student head count, just for general purposes, address that where you stabilized and actually increased this year.
Absolutely, which is very welcome news. I was having a conversation prior to the meeting with Ms. Holman. We were talking about that very thing at the college and in Burke County Public Schools. We have been in a steady student decline in Burke County Public Schools for the last 15 years. We've seen a blip up this year. We certainly hope that's an indicator of things to come. As you know, we're funded from the state based on our student enrollment numbers, so the higher that enrollment, the more state funds we receive. So we're very hopeful that that's a trend that's going to continue. Growing enrollment in the school system, I think, indicates a growing county and more prosperous times, hopefully, for all of us.
Jim, anything else? Heath, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
One more quick question. This is for Margaret, though. Do we currently have a balance of funds that we're holding in fines and forfeitures that we have not sent over yet, or do we do that as they come?
We generally send it every month. He's correct, with our staff retirement in January, that fell through the cracks until early April, but
Okay.
he now has all of them.
Thank you.
Anything else,
That's
gentlemen?
good news.
You'll use it, won't you?
Yes, sir.
Keith, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. That'll bring us to item number 3, appointment to the Council on Aging. This will be presented by Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is a request to appoint Josette Taylor to the Council on Aging to fill vacant seat number 3 with a term ending November 30th, 2023.
Gentlemen, questions, comments? All right, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. That'll bring us to item number 4, appointments to the JCPC, and this will also be presented by Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request to appoint Damian Patton, a Realtor, to JCPC seat number 16 to complete the remainder of a term ending June 30th, 2023. To appoint Wesley Hendricks to seat 21, an at-large seat, for a term ending June 30th, 2024. And to appoint Kami Irvin to seat number 23, at-large, with a term ending June 30th, 2023.
Gentlemen, any questions, comments on this item?
Can you repeat the second name, please?
The second one, that is Wesley Hendricks, seat number 21, at-large, remainder of a term ending June 30th, 2024.
Anything else, gentlemen? Then without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. This will move us on to appointments to the Parks and Recreation Commission. This is also presented by Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have a lot of activity going on in this item. This is a request to reappoint Jonathan Carter, representing Valdez, Curtis Hildebrand, representing Ray Childers, and LaPortia Cuthbertson for Mountain View to the Parks and Recreation Commission for the remainder of 3-year terms ending March 31, 2026. To appoint Terry Norton to the Parks and Rec Commission for the remainder of a 3-year term ending March 31st, 2024, representing the W.A. Young seat. To reappoint Ricky Barnes for the remainder of a 3-year term ending March 31, 2026. His application was received yesterday, so we will update that section to remove his removal. We do have his application on file. With Brandon Klotz, this is the one that we are replacing with Cody Clark. Brandon has resigned, so the requested action will be to appoint Cody Clark for the remainder of a 3-year term ending March 31, 2026, representing Salem Community, and we do have his application on file. This is also to reappoint Valerie Mullis to the Parks and Rec Commission for George Hildebrand for the remainder of her term ending March 31, 2024. We had some resignations and some folks that chose not to serve another term, so those necessitated those changes.
And the gentleman, just for full disclosure on the Salem selection, that gentleman does not reside in the same Salem community, but by our bylaws, if you don't have to reside in the community if you have a family member that attends that school. And so he lives in Morganton, but his son plays in Salem, so.
And we'll include that in the agenda item as well.
And we'll include that, but I would just for your information, I want y'all to be aware of that. Any questions, gentlemen? All right, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Thank you, Madam
Thank you
Clerk.
very much.
Then, gentlemen, this brings us to item number 6, application for public school building capital lottery funds. This will be presented by Margaret Pierce, our finance director.
Good afternoon. This is our periodic drawdown that we do to utilize those funds and make sure the state doesn't think we're not wanting them. So we use these to offset debt payments versus using the set-aside funds for the sales tax. Any questions?
Gentlemen, questions, comments? Short and to the point.
Thank you.
All right, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Gentlemen, that'll bring us to general services, lead service line inventory grant presented by Ellen Glines, our planning director.
Thank you, Chairman Moley, members of the commission, members of the public. The general services would like to submit an application for a grant to complete a water service inventory. And this inventory is part of the lead and copper rule revisions that was passed by the EPA. They require every community water system to develop an inventory of all the connections they have in their system. And this is to check for lead, presence of lead in the service lines at the meter connection and even in the service line to the house. So this is what we intend to do, and we'll be bringing that forward and trying to complete that work in a timely manner.
Gentlemen, questions, comments for Alan on this item? There being none, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. That'll bring us to item number 8, JCPC approval of county plan for county funding allocation presented by AJ.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
How are you?
I am okay, I hope you are. I can't believe it's another year. Every year I come and think, how did that happen? We're here again. Thank you for entertaining the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council's request for approval of the annual plan and the funding allocation plan. As you know, your JCPC brings you a plan every year to address the risk and needs of the court-involved youth, excuse me, in the community, and this plan reflects the complete work of the council throughout the year. Their subcommittees do a lot of work for the many, many pieces of paper that you saw attached to this request, and that covers any program enhancement plans that the funded agencies might have that increase their efficiency and effectiveness. They survey the gaps in services for the county in the local area with an eye to reducing recidivism for the youth. The council legally publishes and solicits agencies to apply for the funds. that we get to the county for these purposes. And and that the agencies develop or run programs of the sort that are needed, and they vet the programs to make sure that we're getting the best programs that we can for the amount of money. I almost said measly, I don't really mean that. There's good fun there, but it's hard to get all of the needs covered with it. They maximize the funding. I don't have to tell you that. Every year we get pretty much, well, the same amount of money. And these programs keep taking more and more clients, more and more youth, even though we don't increase their funding. And they've presented a plan, an application that has a certain amount of folks they think they can serve for that money. They get more clients coming in, and they keep serving them, even though that's more than what we're paying them for. So it's really, it's amazing to see them do this very difficult work for this amount of money over and over in many cases. The currently funded agencies have been monitored by the governance committee. The council itself has been surveyed and reviewed by the state in a certification. And so we're respectfully requesting the approval of the submitted annual plan and the funding allocation plan. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you have about any of the many, many pages that were attached to this.
Gentlemen, you've heard AJ's report. Questions, comments? Tremendous amount of work, so thanks for all the work you put in.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely, thank you. Then, gentlemen, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. That brings us to item number 8. Sheriff, approval request to use narcotics and forfeiture funds for training event. This will be presented by, once again, Sheriff Banks Heinzman. How are you, Sheriff?
I'm good, sir. How about you?
Good.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for hearing me. We're asking for about $4,100, permission to use $4,100 of our asset forfeiture and narcotics money to send 5 narcotics officers down to the conference, the North Carolina Narcotics Enforcement Officers Association's conference. Be a great opportunity for them to go down and network with their peers and attend some good training. So that money was awarded by, of course, federal agencies in narcotics investigations that we have been a part of.
Thank you, Sheriff. Gentlemen, questions, comments? All right, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. And while we have the sheriff up here, he's covering item number 10 as well, resolution awarding county issued service sidearm and badge.
Sergeant Bill Townsend has served 20 years with the Burke County Sheriff's Office and has done a phenomenal job. His last appointment was equipment and fleet sergeant. He's done a great job with that. He's retiring. He's one of those officers that we really hate to lose, but he's earned that retirement. So in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 2187.2 and General Statute 14402 of North Carolina General Statutes, we are asking permission to award Sergeant Townsend his service pistol and his badge that he wore on the day that he retired.
Gentlemen, comments, questions? Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sheriff. Without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. That'll bring us to Ed Phillips. I haven't seen Ed today. Argus filling in.
I believe Ed's under the weather right now, so I just got requested to fill in for him. This is the quarterly financial report for the TDA. The first information you see there is their balance sheet showing their checking account at $787,547, liabilities of $171,000. Predominantly, those are the set-asides for Morganton and Valdez that they request throughout the year. And then the overall year-to-date is slightly under for expenses higher than revenues, as you'll see on the second page. I think occupancy tax is always behind. You collect it a month after they collect it, and then they get paid it another month. So this is limited data. Right now, they're up to $681,000 through March, which is about 10.75% above last year. So it's trending really well. We have seen the sales come back and room occupancy. Are there any specific questions on the financials?
Gentlemen? And obviously, we're preparing budget for TDA. Margaret and I here, again, it looks like we're going to have another increase in budget. And so that's just leading to Burke County success. That's just a reflection of things that are happening here in the county. So, Margaret, thank you. Tell Ed we hope he's doing better.
Yes, and I think they had a really good time at Merle Fest last week. They were there Thursday through Sunday, and I believe they had a really busy booth going on, is what I
Maybe that's why he's not here. He had a really good time.
That's
at
it.
Merle Fest.
That might be it. Maybe something else, but it could be Merle
We'll
Fest.
check on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
He wasn't able to make Merle Fest.
Gentlemen, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. Next is our presentation of financial data for period ending March 31st, 2023 for Western Piedmont Community College, presented by our friend Sandy Holtman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll give a brief summary of our finances through March 31st. In our state funds, our state total budget is $16,930,124, and we've spent 70.4% of the budget through March 31st. The next three columns in light blue is the county budget and expenditures, where we have spent $2,073,828, or 76.9% of the budget through March 31st. And then the final three columns is our institutional budget, which is everything else, which we have budgeted at $6,371,479 for this year, and we've spent 73% of the budget there. The total combined budget for Western Piedmont is $25,998,213, which we've expended $19,693,346, or 75.7%. So we feel like we're in good shape financially with all funding sources. The next slide that you see just breaks down the county expenditures by categories, and you can see the top three, of course, are salaries and benefits at 27%, utilities at 23%, and contracted services at 14%. Just a little bit of update on what's going on at the college for your benefit is that the Regional Skilled Trades Solution Center is proceeding along very nicely and should be completed construction-wise sometime in May, then with all the inspections, punch list, all of that from the city and state construction office. We hope to be able to start moving in June for that. The grand opening is scheduled for September the 19th. You'll get more information about that soon. In June, we are planning a truck jams, which is a family event for the community that's not only going to have building construction tools, equipment that families can see, but also like ambulance, fire truck, some other programs that we have, some big equipment items that hopefully the community will be interested in. So more information will be coming along on that as well. Our Emergency Service Training Center, we're moving along with that as well, working with the city of Morganton on some exchange of land so that we can start that process, but we are working with the architects for advanced planning and have some preliminary concepts already, so we're excited about that project. And then our enrollment, we never want to get too excited too early, but it's really looking good right now. Our summer is 20% higher right now than we were this time last year. Again, we have about 20 days left until the summer semester starts. But then our fall semester, from this point last year as far as registration, is about 31% increase. Now, those are pretty high right now, I think, because we've done a major push with our CCP, or our high school students. But also, we're seeing an increase in our traditional students, our adult learners, which is really exciting. At my last presentation to the commissioners, I spoke about that was a concern of ours, was the adult learners, traditional college students, that we had not seen an increase there. But right now, it looks like we have a small increase in that area as well, so we are very excited. I will temper that with The trends over the last 3 to 5 years coming out of COVID have not been consistent, that we can really rely on them, but right now it's really good outlook for us, so we're excited.
Great presentation, gentlemen.
Sandy, does the increases you're talking about, is that primarily curriculum, or are you talking about Con Ed as well?
That's just curriculum.
Any other questions? All right. Sandy,
Thank you
thank
very
you so much.
Have a great afternoon.
You too. Gentlemen, without objection, that item will remain on the consent agenda. That'll bring us to our friend John Bridgers, our tax administrator, for tax collection report, item number 13. John, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here, members of the commission. The tax collections from July 1, 2022 through April 30th of 2023, we have collected $46,915,037.40, which is 102.43% of our budgeted amount that we would collect. And that's $1,115,037.40 over what we budgeted. Motor vehicle tax, we have collected $5,031,211.77, which is 88.85% of what we've collected. We've got $968,788.23 yet to collect to meet the budget, and we should do that in May and June. For current year taxes, we have collected $51,964,249.17. That's 100.28% of what we budgeted, so we're $146,249.17 above what we budgeted to collect. For delinquent taxes, we have collected $623,774.61. That's only 89.11% of what we budgeted to collect, leaving us to collect $76,225.39. Let me say that while that's not too good, the more we collect current year taxes, the harder it is to collect delinquent taxes, because some people just are not going to pay. Late listing penalty, we have collected $313,709.84. That's 99.59% of what we budgeted, leaving us to collect $1,290.16. For the total tax levy, we have collected $46,915,037.40, which is 97.35% of the tax levy, leaving us a balance to collect of $1,279,524.22.
Gentlemen, questions for John? There being none, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda. John will go on to tax refund and release report.
Tax refund and relief, report is for $10,967.01. Of that, we rebilled $10,375.90 with a net release, a refund of $591.11. The reason that the rebuild amount and refund, when you release or refund something, you have to release the entire bill and then rebuild what's left. So that's why there's that rebuild amount there. For vehicle refunds over $100, it was $2,154.31.
Gentlemen, questions, comments? There being none, without objection, this item will remain on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. All right, gentlemen, this will bring us to section 6, items for decision. And I will turn this over to our county manager, Mr. Epley. Presentation of recommended budget for 2023, fiscal year 2023 and 2024, and scheduling a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, we've approached that time of year. 2 weeks from today, we'll be presenting to the board your annual budget, and at that time also scheduling a public hearing for June 20th, at which time the board will adopt or vote on the budget at that time. For today's purposes, to holding place so that if board members have questions about the process, we certainly can talk about that. But I will plan on delivering both the budget message as well as the budget presentation in 2 weeks. And following that, the budget message, along with the actual detail budget, will be distributed on our website and throughout the community for public observation for roughly a 30-day period between the 16th of May and June 20th before we hold the public hearing. All of that obviously meets the statutory guidelines of the Physical Control Act, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Gentlemen, we know we've all been working on this for some time, so any questions or comments at this time? If not, continue the good work, Brian. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Without objection, this item will remain on the items for decision. Gentlemen, please submit your reports / minutes to the clerk for inclusion in the agenda packet. Once again, Tanya, I think Tanya's left, but as we were talking about litter earlier, don't litter, pick up trash, and please cover your loads to the landfill or other convenient sites. Spay or neuter your pets, and please adopt or foster a pet from Burke County Animal Services. Now, we've got a couple things coming up, gentlemen, May 23rd and 24th, County Advocacy Day in Raleigh. Hopefully Kay, has everybody let you know with their inclination?
Everybody is going, and everybody has a reservation and registration.
Perfect. County offices, as a reminder, will be closed on May 29th in observance of Memorial Day. And I do want to remind everybody a free event for all military personnel will be held at 11 a.m. at the Foothills Higher Education Center, which is at 2128 South Sterling Street. You can contact Molly Eller at 439-4376 for more information. And also on June 10th, 2023, Rabies Clinic at Bell Farm in Morganton. That'll be from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So keep those in mind, everyone, please. Gentlemen, are there any other discussion items at this point?
Mr. Chairman, the rabies clinic reminded me, maybe somebody on staff happens to know, is there any update on the rabies contact that we had going on?
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'm somewhat knowledgeable. I didn't get an update today on it, but I know that they have been in that area trapping other dogs that were roaming loose in that area, and there were quite a few of them. But that's about all I know about it.
I would add, obviously, that our public health department is working with the family, and that obviously there's ongoing medical treatment. That's an extended period of time. It is very, very, very rare in North Carolina. In fact, you got to look back quite a ways to have human contact with a rabid animal, especially the companion animal. So, process works, system works. I know that our systems are talking, so that's positive.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Just one thing quickly, Commissioner Smith and I were blessed last week by getting to visit with our local landfill and some of our other county operations. And I just want to give a shout out to the staff over there. That's not at all what I expected when I went to a landfill. It was neat, well kept. They have some equipment issues and some needs, but I was just absolutely blown away. I will say that in light of what Tanya had organized along with Madam Clerk and some other folks in the community on the garbage pickup, I did observe a number of vehicles coming in that day we were there without their loads being covered. And my understanding, it is the law. So I would like to see if we could maybe work with the sheriff and see if there's a schedule or a non-published schedule or something we could work out to get some enforcement. Just kind of watching that particular. I've got a couple of calls from folks on Huffman Bridge Road, and that's probably one of the worst places in the county. And if we do have a law that says loads need to be covered, they need to be covered.
Excellent point. Anything else, gentlemen? All right. There being none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Vice Chair Britton. All those in favor signify with uplifted hand. Those that don't, stay here.